Bear down, Chicago Bears, and happy Friday. We've got an update for you. Greg Gabriel apologizes to everybody in saying that he got it wrong about Caleb Williams. Now, not only did he get it wrong about Caleb Williams, I listened to him, so I got it wrong about Caleb Williams. So, what we're looking at right now is a Greg Gabriel apology tour. As he tells everybody the information that I got, I did share with the Bears. The Bears then vetted the information, found out that it was not actually correct, and now he is on Team Caleb. And not to be outdone here, the NFL world is buzzing over what Caleb Williams did yesterday with his sidearm throw towards Keenan Allen to make a big time play, running to his, I want to say, left while throwing to the right. Like, it was just an incredible play. This is not the type of play, by the way, that you want to see your quarterback making in an NFL game, but the fact that you can do it successfully, even in practice and even against the first team Chicago Bears defense, does say something about the ability and talent level of Caleb Williams, and the fact that he is starting to nail down little pieces of what he is going to be capable of going into this season. The pressure not getting to him at all at this point. Also, defense shined again yesterday, and yeah, there was a shocking almost situation that developed where there might have been a trade for the Chicago Bears in the draft if certain things had played out in a certain and specific fashion, with the belief that there was a single player that the Chicago Bears were focused on before taking Rome Odunze. Now, were they right? I don't think so, but there was a very interesting thing happening there. Also, Yannick Ngakoue, is he coming back? Is he not coming back? It looks like it's very difficult to say whether or not he will be here or not, or whether he's needed. That's becoming a question right now with the rise of Jacob Martin and the phenomenal play that he's had so far, and Austin Booker coming along very rapidly, starting to look the part of an edge rusher. Does that mean that the Bears are no longer in the market for a veteran edge rusher? This could be a dynamic change for this team for the better. Also, uh, Keenan Allen ranked in the top 100 players. He's 32 years old, and guess what? He was ranked just outside of the top 50 in the NFL's top 100 list. And then finally, Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, and Keenan Allen are showcasing the deadly potential already in training camp. But I do want to say that none of that is possible without the performance of Caleb Williams. So let's break all that down. If you like this type of content, make sure that you hit the like button on your way in. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk Greg Gabriel. It's no secret that at the end of 2023 and earlier this year, Greg Gabriel was against the Chicago Bears drafting Caleb Williams. So was I, in fact. I preferred Justin Fields. I knew the flaws of Justin Fields. I knew the problems with Justin Fields. I knew what we were getting in Justin Fields, but I also felt that he had not been done a service by this team. And hey, let me be honest with you. If it were not for the fact that the Chicago Bears had the first overall pick and had the opportunity to draft Caleb Williams, then we would still be with Justin Fields. There's nothing wrong if you like Justin Fields. However, we had the number one overall pick. There were plenty of options that you could have gone with, but in hindsight, probably a no-brainer. This guy does represent a significant potential upgrade, not an actual upgrade, but a potential upgrade to Justin Fields and what Justin Fields was doing on the field. And we're seeing it in practice right now. And Greg Gabriel says this: my reasoning was never about talent, but rather Caleb Williams, the person. In fact, if you remember, I wrote an article about the same website, on the same website about, and this is, by the way, Windy City Gridiron, about how Caleb Williams was a generational football player who was the best quarterback prospect I've seen since Andrew Luck, and his style of play was very similar to Patrick Mahomes. I wrote that article on September 27 of last fall, and it was published the same day. About 3 weeks later, in a nationally televised game between USC and Notre Dame, Williams had perhaps his worst college football game and threw 3 interceptions as Notre Dame blew out USC. Now, One game did not bother me that much, as any player can have a bad game. The important thing in the evaluation process, especially with a quarterback, is we want to see how a player bounces back from a bad game. Basically, how does he overcome adversity? I made sure that I could see how he played in the following games. As a member of the advisory board from the East West Shrine Bowl, I have access to game tape of just about every college game played. Because of my position, I was able to get much of the same tape that every NFL club gets. When I watched the USC game after the Notre Dame game, Caleb Williams did not seem to be the player I had seen in the previous 17 to 18 games. The magic was not there, nor was some of his ability to improvise like I had seen previously. While his numbers compared to other quarterbacks were good in most of those cases, his overall play just wasn't really as good. In 2022, USC went 11-3, and Caleb won the Heisman Trophy. Many felt he would win it 2 years in a row. USC started 2023 with 6 straight wins, and it looked like Caleb was a shoe-in for another Heisman. But that was not the case, as USC only won 1 game following the Notre Dame loss, and lost 4 with Williams at quarterback. That worried me, as I had earlier stated, he was generational. Generational players don't go from being outstanding to average after just 1 game and stay that way. The thought kept coming back that he had not handled adversity well, and that was a concern. As I usually do with top prospects, I check with people I know around the league to see if there are any character issues. I did this with Williams. I talked to at least 4 people, all of whom are quite higher than area scouts within their club organizations. These are people that I have had long relationships with, talked to often, and are considered friends. 2 of the people I spoke to made school calls to USC. In their positions, their job warrants talking to other scouts about players they've seen. For the record, the people I talked to were all from NFC clubs, and none was a certain AFC GM who is a good friend. All of the people I talked to had concerns about Williams for various reasons, but often it centered on his play at the Notre Dame game. I'm not going to get into everything that was said, as it was irrelevant for the purpose of this article. All of these conversations took place in November and December, and it was then that I very publicly stated I was against the drafting of Williams and for keeping Justin Fields. My reasoning was that I didn't want to see the Bears making a possible mistake. My change of opinion on Caleb was out there in the Chicago area and very easy for anyone to find. In late January, I received a phone call from a member of the Bears front office. I was asked if I would be willing to share with them the information I had received. I did so, but of course, I never revealed who I got the information from. That always stays private. At the end of the conversation, they thanked me, and that was that. Ryan Poles and his staff do an excellent job of finding out the background of every player. They leave no stone unturned, and because I had what they perceived to be negative information, they wanted to know what it was. Being a former employee of the organization and a fan, I was happy to give it. The information was not totally inaccurate, but it wasn't entirely accurate either. Part of that was, unlike when I was a road scout, I didn't make a school call to USC this year. If I had done so, I would have found out many different things. There were problems with USC football team in 2023, but none of those problems were caused by Caleb Williams. You have seen how Bears coach Matt Eberflus and Ryan Poles preach chemistry and culture. It's an important part of any locker room in any sport. The culture at USC in 2023 was not conducive to winning. I can't say whose fault it is. By losing 5 of the last 6 games, had a lot to do with the character and culture of that team as a whole, as with any one player. Caleb ended up being a product of that culture. Since the combine, I followed up on everything I could find on Williams and found out that much of the information I was given simply was not true. It's not that I was given false information, but rather that their perception of the information was inaccurate. From what I've seen since the Bears selected Williams, he should have no concern, and we should have no concern. He does everything the right way, has a very good leadership skill as a young player, and he wants to become a great player. His confidence stands out. His teammates are raving about him, as do his coaches. His talent is what I originally perceived it to be, and that is rare. He should become one of the better quarterbacks in the league, but it won't happen overnight. Like all rookies, he must go through the natural growing pains of learning to play in the NFL. I will not apologize for saying and relaying to fans what I had learned late last fall. I went with the information I had and would do it again. I will gladly admit that the information was not entirely true, and I am happy for that. The truth is that since the Bears selected Williams, I want nothing more than to be proven wrong like all of you. I just want to see this franchise win. So there you have it from Greg Gabriel coming out and saying, look, I got it wrong. The information that I got was the opinion of someone, and that opinion was not accurate. So now we move forward, and let's talk about what happened yesterday in training camp as Caleb Williams continues to shine, continues to show people that level of talent. And we've got a copy of the video right here. This is him throwing, going to the left, throwing back to the right, hitting Keenan Allen. Now, look at this. He's doing this against Jack Sanborn. And if Jack Sanborn is in there, then that means that the first team offense was on the field. So this was a dynamic play coming from a dynamic quarterback and a dynamic receiver. So it should be pretty exciting to see what is going on with Caleb Williams and this team right now. During a drill Thursday, Williams scrambled to his left while throwing across his body. Again, we don't want a quarterback to ever throw across his body. That's how you get intercepted. That's how you lose games in the NFL. But he did it, and then Keenan Allen was there, caught it, tapped 2 feet inbounds, completed the catch, and now the NFL world is showing this video everywhere. So the NFL world was very, very impressed by this, and you saw Mike Golick, Mike Golick Jr. He posted, "We've never been more back." Dom says, "How life will be if Caleb does this every Sunday." Chicago Bears, of course, this is beautiful. Robert Mays from the NFL is sharing it as well. Chicago Bears updates, of course, everybody's super excited by the thing that they're seeing. Jared Payton himself comes out. It's a thing of beauty. Again, guys, I want to stress this. You do not throw across the body. You do not do what he just did. And you certainly, if you do it, you better be successful in that context and then never do it again. But we just saw it happen. So I think that the entire realm of the NFL at this point is now on notice that Caleb Williams is built just a little bit different. So exciting times coming for the Chicago Bears. Will those include Yannick Ngakoue? That's going to be the next question right now. Now, before we get started on this, I'm going to talk about the defense. The defense shined yesterday in training camp. And the 1 week from today, we're going to be at the Hall of Fame game against the Houston Texans. We're going to see what we look like against the second team. It's really going to be, we're going to be trying to pare down the roster quite a bit. And this is a statement that was made here from Eberflus. He says, "We've talked about it, had lengthy conversations about it, that personnel meeting, had it with the coordinators before that. I've been talking to Ryan, so we'll make a good decision here soon. And it's going to be whether or not they're going to play Caleb Williams in that first game." I think it is my opinion, by the way, just so you guys understand. I don't want to see Caleb Williams get injured, but I do want to see him play NFL level competition. I want him to he needs to see different looks. Now he's going to see vanilla defenses. He's not going to see any kind of special wrinkles put into the game, but it is imperative that he get up to speed as quickly as possible. Don't hold back from Caleb Williams. Make him come out there and make him prove that he can do this job. And I say that knowing that in the case of a catastrophic injury or something like that, then we still have Tyson Bagent waiting in the wings. Tyson Bagent is an interesting sort of guy in that I do think that he has the capability and the capacity to be a starting NFL quarterback, not a great NFL quarterback. We are taking, it is my opinion, a step down if we go with Tyson Bagent over Caleb Williams at this point. But Tyson Bagent has developed a little bit more arm strength. He's looking a little bit better in practice. He's starting to make throws that he was not making last year. He's starting to put a little more velocity on the ball. So I don't feel bad. So let's give Caleb Williams that opportunity to prove that he belongs in the NFL. And let's give it to him early. Let's get him ready for this season. Give him everything that he needs in order to hit the ground running as best he possibly can. And remembering, just like Greg Gabriel said, there's going to be times when he just does not look the part because he's still a rookie. But look, rookies, maybe not rookies, but second-year guys. Look, Brock Purdy ended up in the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes ended up in the Super Bowl, getting, in their first year starting. So there is really some opportunity here. And if we just consider that Caleb Williams is as good as advertised, then there's a lot of opportunity here for Caleb Williams to be on that cut for him to be that special guy. So they will decide in the next couple of days about what the next step is. Now, here's a little feedback for, of course. And why not just hit the wrong button, Bleeves, you idiot? Caleb Williams had some tight window throws in the first 7-on-7 period. It started with a quick throw to Keenan Allen. TJ Edwards dove to bat down the pass, but the throw beats the coverage. Big day for the defense at Bears practice. The first team offense was rarely able to get into a rhythm in team drills. Caleb continues to look good in 7-on-7. Best throw was a touchdown to Velus Jones Jr. in the back corner of the end zone. Kyler Gordon was absent. That's why he did it. Top 3 takeaways from today's Bears practice. Caleb with multiple TD passes that were oh so pretty, including one to Velus that stood out. Caleb holding onto it longer than you would like, getting sacked, ball knocked out. That right there, those are the things that we want to clear up. That's why I think it is imperative that we need to see Caleb Williams go out there and play against the Houston Texans at least for 1 or 2 series. There's only 3 preseason games, so let's get him out there. Let's see what he's got. Let's put it in front of the fans, and then give him the nervous jitters, if you will. Let's make it something. Fun nature jawing between the offense and the defense. And then here's the number thoughts from Mark Grote. Defense. Thought the number 1 offense looked decent in first 2-minute drill, but fizzled in the second. Bears have about 8 guys trying out for punt return, but Adunze was the guy in a live punt situation. Ryan Bates was at center. Braxton Jones practiced more, and there were 3 offensive penalties. During 11-on-11, Montez Sweat stripped Caleb Williams and immediately pointed to himself and apologized for touching the quarterback. Montez Sweat, by the way, was fined for touching the quarterback. Just in case you guys didn't know that, he was annoyed by the whole fact, and he knew he had messed up, but he sure as shit did end up touching Caleb Williams, which, not doing. Adam Johns says after the Bears offense went 3 and out in the first situational drill, rookie punter Tory Taylor did land a punt inside the 5 that was down at the 6-yard line. Caleb Williams scrambling at the Bears camp. Caleb, a lot of different videos and stuff like that are sitting out there right now that you can go check out. I would encourage you to go check that out. Chicago Bears looking the part in training camp. Now let's talk about whether or not Yannick Ngakoue is coming back. Also, when I say Yannick Ngakoue, we could also be talking about Emmanuel Ogbah or I think Carlson from the Jets might be on the list as well. There's a list right now of defensive ends, edge rushers that we could be talking about very soon. But here's the thing. There was an important statement that was made by Ryan Poles over the last couple of days. And first of all, we do have to acknowledge a couple of things. First of all, Jacob Martin and Austin Booker have looked really good. Okay, they've looked really good so far this preseason training camp. They've really kind of shown up and shown out in the best possible way. Are they ready for the NFL? Jacob Martin obviously is ready for the NFL, but is Austin Booker? Probably not yet. But situationally, he's going to get some playing time. But if you were reading between the lines when general manager Ryan Poles talked about the team's depth at defensive end before training camp started last weekend, you could have inferred he was sending a message to potential job seekers that the Bears will not be big spenders. And what he said was, the topic of the defensive end position has popped up multiple times. It's our job to look at every option that's out there to improve our football team. We really feel comfortable with the guys we have on our roster now, and I'm excited to see Travis Smith, the defensive line coach, and Eric Washington, the defensive coordinator, really put their hands on those guys and develop them as we go. But we will always have our eyes on the list of players that we could potentially bring in. However, if you just translate that, we like our guys. We're not interested in paying what you guys want us to pay. So Emmanuel Ogbah might be out on that defensive end. Emmanuel Ogbah made that clear when he signed a 1-year deal with the Miami Dolphins for $3.25 million this week. So Ogbah off. There was no way Yannick Ngakoue is getting more than that. Remember, he had 4 sacks last season. Ogbah had 5.5. So the same goes for Carl Lawson or any other free agent. They aren't getting anywhere close to the $10 million Chicago handed out last offseason. They are in a far stronger position to negotiate. So you're going to see a veteran minimum, or you're going to see like a $2 or $3 million deal that gets signed in the event that we even get a player. Now, it should be noted, Yannick Ngakoue is still in the area, and he's still practicing and still believes that he's probably going to get that phone call. Will he get that phone call? I don't know yet. We will see as we go on. But let's talk about Keenan Allen real quick, because the rankings for the top 100 players in the NFL came out, and the NFL list apparently just doesn't have a problem with taking players that are 30 years old and rating them as some of the best. So, coming off a career best 108 catches with the Chargers last year, Bears wide receiver Keenan Allen gained a high spot in the NFL media top 100 player list. He came in at number 51, even while he was entirely omitted on some other similar lists. Not to diminish the skills of Allen, whose route running and ability to pull in any type of pass is unquestioned, but his poll of players done every year by NFL.com and the NFL Network has Stephon Diggs ranked at number 56. Ask Bears fans whether they'd rather have Diggs or Allen, and the chances are very good Allen does not poll as more popular. So it's a weird sort of list, but there are 9 undervalued wide receivers right now that are out there that you could pick up. Look, I don't know what you do on fantasy football. I'm not a fantasy football guy, by the way. I used to play it every single year. I played last year because I do cryptocurrency, and we all put up, $10,000 in crypto for a round robin kind of tournament thing. And spoiler alert, I didn't win. I came in third, which is bullshit. But Keenan Allen came in ranked higher than Jalen Waddle, Brandon Ayuk, Cooper Kupp, and Amari Cooper. So it's a very interesting thing. At times in 2023, it felt as if Allen might have been the only wide receiver on the field catching passes for the Chargers. Such was his dominance and the status as Justin Herbert's preferred target. Now, what does that mean for the Chicago Bears? This means, at least in my opinion, this means that they're going to be doing a lot to get the ball to Keenan Allen. Is it going to be at the expense of other receivers? Well, if it is, it won't be DJ Moore. It would be Rome Odunze. Rome Odunze wants to beat that rookie record that's held by Puka Nacua, but there's absolutely no way that there are enough passes to go around. First of all, you're going to satisfy Keenan Allen. Then you're going to satisfy DJ Moore first. He's your number one. Then you're going to satisfy Keenan Allen. Then you're going to satisfy Rome Odunze. However, if you don't have to do that, if you don't have to, quote unquote, satisfy a player with enough throws in their direction and Caleb Williams just freewheeling out there making the plays, look, it comes down to whoever gets open first. They're going to get the ball. So this is going to be an interesting, and guys, we're going to talk about that in just a moment here. It's going to be very, very interesting season. But Allen pulls down a more elite spot than Montez Sweat, who was number 82. So this is very interesting, guys. 2 players now on the team in the top 100 NFL players in the league. I think that's a very, very, very good sign going forward. So let's move on, though, and let's talk about this wide receiver trio. Gerald Everett, Thursday after practice, said this, and this is a quote from him. It's scary. I'm sure you guys have seen it. Even today, we gave the defense something to look at, something they probably weren't ready for. But like I said, being interchangeable with DJ and Keenan and the guys in the receiving room, we're going to want to play all the spots, whether it be the right direction or the left direction. We're going to be flying up and down this field. With DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Rome Odunze, the Bears have perhaps the most lethal wide receiver trio in the league. It's a trio that is already flashing its deadly potential in camp with rookie quarterback Caleb Williams. And guys, I want to stress here, last season, that's not what we heard. Last season, what did we hear coming out of training camp? Oh, well, Caleb Williams or Justin Fields is doing a great job of adapting to the new way that we would like him to play. We would like him to focus more on being a drop back quarterback. If you don't understand that this team right now is playing in a way that's exciting the team versus last season when they looked inept and not ready to play, then you're not realizing the difference in this team. And I'm going to go back to it, 13-4 this season. This is the Chicago Bears of 2024. This is an elite team that's going to start playing at an elite level early on. Now, a quote from Tyreek Stevenson says this: Keenan's a magician. Just the fact that he can stop mid-route, change his whole route, or just the fact that he gives you something different than what you're expecting. He might break inside, but he's just doing that just to see on the next play how he can get you on a route that's coming to him. DJ is going to be DJ. DJ is going to run a route, and you're just not going to stop it pretty much. But Keenan is special. As for Dunze, he has been one of the early stars in the camp. While he enters as the wide receiver on the depth as the wide receiver on the depth chart, the Bears expect the number 9 overall pick to be much more than a third fiddle. I really believe, and this is from Matt Eberflus, I really believe he's going to have the ability to take off because of the other players. You're not going to be able to hone in on one guy. Say we just had him and he was the number 1 right now, you'd be like, wow, they can really do some things onto him defensively, but you're not going to be able to do that versus our crew. This is what matters the most. If you're going to double team somebody, you are going to pay for it dramatically. So you can't shut down DJ Moore because Rome Odunze and Keenan Allen are going to eat you alive, provided that we give a little bit of protection and that Caleb makes good plays. If we do that, then this is going to be an elite team right away. If you decide to break on Keenan Allen and double team him, not only do you have DJ Moore and Rome Odunze out there, but you've got Cole Kmet as your outlet guy. Like there's no relief for defenses on this team right now. And if that doesn't work, you've got DeAndre Swift still coming out of the backfield. Guys, I can't stress enough. This is an absolutely different offense than what you've seen ever before from the Chicago Bears. Will we get 4,000 yards passing out of Caleb Williams in his first season? Probably not. We're probably not going to see something like that. We're not going to see magic, but we're going to see really good. The first year, 3,500 yards. Second year, 4,200 yards, something like that. That's the kind of leap that I think that we'll end up seeing. That'll have 50 more yards per game in passing. And will we get away from the running game? Yes, we won't be the number 1 rushing offense anymore because there's no opportunity. There's just not going to be any chance. 13-4. Let's be realistic here, folks. There's going to be a lot of disappointed Bears fans. You can say that. That's fine. But we did this yesterday when I talked to we did it, and I went through this over and over. There were 5 games decided within 7 points last season. Good teams find ways to win those games. We went 7-10 because we lost every one of those games. If we don't lose those games and we actually play to a level of the talent that we have with the ability, and if it increases, then those 5 close games become wins, and that turns this team last season into a 12-5 team. The end. 5 games were decided by a touchdown or less. If we can find ways to win those games, then that team last year was capable of being a 12-5 team. So if you don't think that 13-4 is possible, you're not thinking clearly. You're thinking about the old Chicago Bears. This is not the old Chicago Bears. This is a different thing right now. So I appreciate the fact that you're saying it. Well, you know what? We're stuck with the same shitty head coach that's not calling those plays. Luke Getsy was the one that was calling those plays. Luke Getsy was the one that took us 3 and out against the Detroit Lions 3 times in a row with 4 minutes and 54 seconds left. That's the kind of play that we had going into last season. Justin Fields was the guy holding on to the ball 3.43 seconds every pass, that he couldn't get rid of the ball. He couldn't move the ball downfield. We couldn't even win games. We barely won 1 game under Justin Fields before he got injured. Tyson Bagent comes in and goes 2-2, and Tyson Bagent is not that good. We have to be honest about that. Could he lead a team to an 8-9 record or a 9-8 record? Sure. The guy's improving. We see that in practice. We see that he's getting better. We see that he's making better throws. We see all these things, but it's not real. Like it's happening right in front of our eyes. And how is this the old Bears until we get rid of? Look, if you don't like Matt Eberflus, don't like him. It doesn't really matter to me. It really doesn't. Matt Eberflus doesn't call every play. Matt Eberflus did a poor job of hiring coaches. He ended up having to fire his defensive coordinator. He ended up having to fire his running backs coach. So I'm not defending Matt Eberflus and his hiring practices or anything like that. But you don't matter. I don't matter. These guys on the field, they're the ones that matter. And guess what? They love Matt Eberflus. They play hard for Matt Eberflus, and they work hard for Matt Eberflus. So for you to say, well, I don't like Matt Eberflus, no, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit whether he's the coach or not. I care about the Chicago Bears, not Matt Eberflus. So The fact that Ryan Poles is comfortable with him to give him a little bit more time, I'm okay with that. The fact that I've seen how poorly they've played, I understand. I understand they went from the worst team to, guess what? You don't have to like it, but Matt Eberflus, who you don't like, was the number one rushing offense, the number one rushing defense in the entire league last year. So you can say what you want about him, but if you say things and you hate him, you don't like him, you think he's bad, you're being intellectually dishonest with people. The number one rushing offense, the number one rushing defense in all of the NFL last season. So there are plenty of problems, I understand. But at the end of this, he was still the guy who ran the number one rushing offense, number one rushing defense in all of football. So two number ones, one on each side of the ball. I mean, this is um, I don't think they'll be number one in rushing offense again this year because Caleb Williams, I think, is going to be a dynamic sort of player, and they're going to try to throw the ball a lot more. Early on, they're going to run the ball because they're going to try to prove people. They're trying to prove people that we don't want them to get to Caleb Williams. We don't want people to get in early. We don't want them to get locked in. We don't want to create problems for him early on. So we're going to run the ball, and in fact, our offensive line does a pretty good job of running the ball. So. You know what I mean? And look, it's fair for you to say I've spent 40 years watching this team and I'm spent of getting excited. Don't get excited then. Just wait until you see. But don't shit on people and don't shit on Matt Eberflus because that is your coach for right now. Even if we don't like him ultimately, and like I said, I don't care about Matt Eberflus. He doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is the Chicago Bears. But I'm going to support him because my team just told me that I got to support him. I am still that same guy who liked Justin Fields more than he likes Caleb Williams. But I'm supportive of Caleb Williams because I do see the positivity in Caleb Williams. I do hope that Caleb Williams is a really great player. I do hope that what we're seeing in practice right now is what we see on the field. But I don't know. I know that we would have still been pretty good with Justin Fields. I think we would have made the playoffs for sure with Justin Fields. I didn't think the same thing about Caleb Williams. Now that I'm seeing what Caleb Williams can do and the talent that's around him, all of these things have changed. They've changed dynamically. And by the way, if you haven't already, there's about 100 people watching. Hit the like button on your way in. I would appreciate that, and thank you so much if you would. But anyway, the final thing. There's one more piece we want to talk about before we get out of here for the day. Shocking details of failed blockbuster trade surface. So here is what ended up happening. And this goes back to the Giants had a deal in place with Chicago. Okay. Chicago Bears did an exceptional job of improving the roster. The Bears added a long list of studs in both free agency and the NFL draft. Chicago selected Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze in the April draft. Although the organization and fan base were thrilled with those selections, it was revealed Chicago had a deal in place if the draft board shook out differently. The Giants had a deal in place with Chicago if Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors were gone by pick 6 in the NFL draft, swapping 6 and 9, getting the Bears the 3rd and 4th, sending back a 5th. New York thought Chicago wanted tackle Joe Alt. So it was revealed, by the way, on the preseason Hard Knock show for the New York Giants. Joe Shane is seen going through different scenarios. He revealed that if both Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors were off the board, the Giants were going to trade with the Bears. Chicago would give up a 3rd and 4th round pick to swap from 6 to 9. They would also receive 5th round back. The Bears in that scenario would have selected Notre Dame tackle Joe Alt. Now, you don't know if that's the case, but you can never go wrong with a top-notch offensive line especially since you have a new franchise quarterback under center right now. And by the way, we might have not liked that early on, but the fact that we would have a new offensive lineman, an elite offensive lineman, it would appear to be in Joe Alt, that would have made Braxton Jones expendable, probably freed up a little payroll, and we most likely would have made a few changes. Rome Odunze would not be here, obviously, and with him not here, we would be relying more on Tyler Scott, or we would have gone out and got maybe another wide receiver. But it didn't work out that way. It worked out this way. So shout out to everybody who screwed that trade up. Shout out to everybody who selected Marvin Harrison Jr. And Malik Neighbors and made sure that Rome Odunze fell into the Bears' lap. And by the way, we don't know that they were going to take Joe Alt either. We know that that's what they thought was going to happen. But it could have been, it very well could have been that they were looking for Rome Odunze the entire time. So this is just the opinion of Richard Shane from the New York Giants that he thought, or Joe Shane from the New York Giants, that he thought that the Bears were interested in Joe Alt. And of course, um, maybe, just maybe that was the case. But I sure am excited to know that Rome Odunze is here. Um, Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you that you take the time to come check me out every day. Thank you so much. And it's time for me to go. You guys have a good day, and we'll talk to you again very, very soon.